Welcome back, race fans, and we are here for the Catalunya 7th round of the season at the Adrian Newey Red Bull Junior 2014 Division Driving, and we've got in our standings set for you after Tokyo, and after all steward inquiries were done and dusted. Mega Racing lead the championship on 155 points from Delesi on 112, and there's quite the rivalry developing between those two teams at the head of this division. JPI Racing Jamplacht Interiors on 109 with Bugstein on 90, Brokaga on 77, just one ahead of Kimmy's racing team on 76, and Coach Dave at the moment on 56 points. Over to the Drivers' Championship, and there'll be no surprise for those watching closely that Pat Finn is leading the way. He's won 3 times and 2 further podiums. His only scored podiums when he has raced with us, and therefore has an 83-point championship position. And he's not done with just podiuming here on AN either. So he's doing tremendously well. Don't quite know how it's happened, but I'm currently in second place. I don't think I'll be there for very long on 70, with Revelit on 63. Unfortunately, having a bit of a difficult day of things in Tokyo. Jazzy Beats is in 4th with 58 points, just 1 point ahead of the revelation of the current point in the season, Wask, who is looking like he is picking up some tremendous form, having only done 4 races, but our most recent race winner in 5th place on 57 points. Biggerwood is on 46 with Rizbak on 40. Yabo's in 8th place. Sparky Watts is in 9th. We have Stormborn, Thump, Brum, Milo, and Rhino, who have accrued points so far. Thump has only taken part in 3 races, and the last 2 have been very good scores indeed, with 1 podium there. So I'm expecting bigger things from Thump as we move through the second and go in towards the second half of the season, which will, of course, commence at the end of this race. So it's time to get underway then for our race. I hope everybody is looking forward to this one. We have 21 laps around the Circuit de Catalunya in Spain. We don't, I believe, have any Spanish drivers with us in this field. Starting at the back in a 13-car field is Wilson Core for Coach Dave Academy, still in his Japanese livery, it seems. We've got Milo for Brokaga in 12th place, with Biggerwood qualifying in 11th. Brum and his Bugstein teammate Benz held on to row 5 on their own, and then the Brokaga driver Lucas de Brusque is in 8th position, and it wasn't the only race he took part in on that day, so doing double duty on the race day there. Lucas de Brusque in 8th with Revelit for Jamplacht Interiors in 7th place. Kimmy's racing team represented by Rizbak, our French driver, in 6th place, and Sparky Watt, the Belgian, for Coach Dave, qualified 5th, and as I mentioned before, seems to have unlocked something very good, very strong in the as we move towards this phase of the season. It's an all Delesi second row of the grid. Thump in 4th with Wask. Surprisingly, I think for majority of people watching, only qualifying in 3rd position. I think possibly had some problems in the qualifying procedure, and then we see that Team Mega were on the front row of the grid. Pat Finn outright by I think at least 0.3 of a second in front of the rest of the field. So. Looking to see these 21 laps. The soft and medium tyre, as usual, are the required tyres here in the Adrian Newey division. And let's get going for round 7 of the championship. The revs build, the lights start to come on. We're ready to go racing here for the 7th round of our Adrian Newey division, and it's drop the clutch and go, go, go. The front 2 rows of the grid away very nicely together, it seems, and everything happening just exactly as they were. A little move across to the middle of the racetrack from Pat Finn here defending potentially from his teammate, but Leigh sliding into second position as we watch to see if there are any contacts on the way through the first couple of corners. But it looks like everybody making their way through very nicely indeed. Lucas de Brusque in 8th position, Benz in 9th, Biggerwood having moved up slightly there, with Wilson Court also moving forward, but possibly a jump start with a 3-second off-throttle penalty to pay. Finn, though, out in the front of the field, and Leigh crowding the mirrors of the second Mega driver as we head down into turn 5 then. And the drivers are, no one is making any rash moves at this stage. The Rizback, though, it looked like was just getting the tail out on his tyre choice. He started on the medium tyres. Looks like the bulk of the field starting on the soft tyres, and then Biggerwood sliding through and sliding out. Unfortunately, Biggerwood there, and right on the scene of someone else's accident in one go. So there was a tiny touch, I think, between these two cars. Keep an eye on the Bro Cargo car in front of you, who's going for a fairly speculative move into turn 7, as does Biggerwood. Gets a little bit lively, goes straight into the barrier, and identical issues and almost identical damage on both of the Adrian Newey cars then at this stage of the race, unfortunately, as Lucas de Brusque tries to recover. Finn leads, and then there goes Wask down the inside. I think I managed to outbrake myself into turn 10 on those cold tyres, and Wask jumped in front. I was busy apologising at this point over the radio to my teammate. I should have done a much better job of holding up Wask, who was clearly qualified out of position. So it is now Finn, Wask, myself and Thump in the top 4. Chasing that pack, though, is Benz, who has managed to stay with the group at the front of the field. Everybody on the soft tyres, up to Sparky Watt, who's dropped just 1 place on the much harder compound of tyres. And it's lap 2 of the 21. Sparky Watt in that 6th position. Behind him, he's got Revelit with the googly eyes on the helmet, chasing him down on the softer compound of tyres. Rizback on the mediums, and then we have Milo also on the mediums, and doing a great job from his starting position as well, moving into 9th place. Wilson Coors moved up in the order as well in the 88 on the medium tyres. We have Brum on the softs out there having a problem at the start, I believe, and Biggerwood and Lucas de Brusque, as we mentioned before. Lucas in with a new sponsor on the side of the car, but into the pits as well. So Finn leading the race at this point, ahead of Wask, and probably a 2-second gap then between those two, and the gap building back to 3rd and 4th positions as Thump starts to pressurise the second Mega driver and tries to force an error, and I'm sure we'll be fully expecting an error to come as well. Ben's heading down the back straight then with Sparky Watts in close company. Very beautiful design there of the Coach Dave with the texture over the main part of the bodywork. Into turn 10, it looks like no one is making a major and surprise move here, and then you can see Biggerwood trying to stay on plan A here with the soft tyres, or at least just make the 1 pit stop. Lucas de Brusque gave it all up and went straight onto a new set of soft tyres then, and fixed the damage on the car. Over the crest of the start-finish straight comes the leader of the championship, Pat Finn, with his name on the front of the on the front wing as well. It's a nice touch, as Wask, his compatriot and sparring partner from Canada, is chasing him down as well, and the number 50 Leigh driver is trying to find an opportunity then to make the move. We've got some special local sponsors on the Mega Driver's car here, with a Spanish special. A few small touches over the chrome livery, and then we've got Thump in that P4 again for Leigh, and absolutely crowding the mirrors and trying to apply as much pressure as possible. We've got to be pinpoint accurate then around this Barcelona circuit. We've already seen 2 traction oversteer moments into the barrier, so the pressure is absolutely on. Sparky Watt with the black and Belgian flag helmet there for Coach Dave, just going a little bit wide in the 73. Hopefully will avoid a time penalty there, having managed to... No, he doesn't. There it is, a half-second off-throttle penalty. The margins are so tight out on the exit curve of turn 9. Through turn 10, 11 and 12 they now go. and it is Benz ahead of Sparky Watt with Revelit for close company. Those extra 10 horsepower not helping Revelit there. You see on the side of his car with that sticker, and Rizback then here in the Kimmy's purple and gold colour change paintwork ahead of Milo in 9th place. We've got Wilson Court, who has Brum right behind him. Wilson on the mediums, Brum on the used soft tyres. Here comes Brum then with an opportunity. He's going to chase him down, going to try it and stay in those wheel tracks. It's definitely within striking distance. Wilson making the early move and then having to, I think, stick to his racing line. Nice smooth overtake from Brum. Let's maybe have another look at that from the trackside camera. Here it goes as draws alongside, has to brake slightly earlier, but obviously has the inside line for the corner, and then runs through, hopefully not too angry. Looks like he's got the Hulk on the helmet there, but he's making his way through, and a nice manoeuvre then from Brum in the number 69 for Buckstein Transport Service, back in the white and turquoise of Buckstein Transport Service, and Wilson Court in the all-white Delesi-like anime stickered Coach Dave Academy car. Through into turn 5 again. Wilson Court just on the medium tyres, unable quite to keep to the same racing lines and braking zones as Brum in front, but obviously he'll be conscious that he might be able to get him later with this different strategy. Wilson Court starting on the medium tyres, Biggerwood on the soft tyres. With the damage on the car, is actually catching this pairing now, because he ended up going down in the order after the start, the first lap, and finds himself down in that position on the order. Coming out to finish lap 4 comes Finn then, leading the field, and I think it looks like Wask is closing in now. Absolutely is. So I think that gap down to about a second and a half. Here comes a full defence then, looking in the mirrors and using the full left-hand side of the circuit, trying to stop the overtake and the slipstream with a move across to the inside, but Thump is piling on the pressure, and also say on those soft tyres, but perhaps an indication that he's using those soft tyres a little bit harder than the second Mega Driver here at this stage. So he's needing to strike very, very soon if he can at all make that move. We've got Benz running out of soft tyres on only lap 5 here on that front left. That is almost unusable at this stage. Whoa, now down the inside as to the delay on Sparky Watt comes Revelit. That becomes the outside for turn 5. Sparky Watt brakes to the inside, but sensibly brakes a little bit earlier, and unfortunately for him, runs out of braking power and opportunity, and loses 6th place to Revelit, who pounced on that opportunity while everyone is getting boxed in behind the runner here, Benz, with the soft tyres. Look at the tyre differential between Revelit in 6th and Benz in 5th position now. Benz may have decided to put full downforce on the car because it is Barcelona, but of course that does use the tyres harder. You're putting greater turning forces, braking forces through the car, and you're able to go through those longer corners at a faster speed, which of course causes more tyre wear as well. Alternatively, you could have too little downforce on and be skidding and sliding around and doing exactly the same thing. Now into the pit lane at the end of lap 5 comes Benz, and I think that will be our first of our scheduled pit stops, leaving a very large proportion of the race still to run. Carbon copy of what happened on the previous lap between myself and Thump there. A defence to the inside. Thump unable to take that inside line. Perhaps now plotting a different strategy for the next time through, as Revelit is leading Sparky Watt in that 5th, 6th, and followed by Rizback in the 7th position. Rizback on the alternate strategy, starting on those medium tyres. And here comes Sparky Watt on the run into turn 4, trying to use the inside line, which is how Revelit got him on the previous lap. Sparky, though, on the medium tyres, doesn't quite have the same performance. Revelit has been keeping his powder very dry through the first 5 laps of this race, and is now starting to drop the hammer on the pace that he's got underneath him. Rizback is hounding the back of Sparky Watt here. A little bit of neighbouring country rivalry going on between the Frenchman and the Belgian. Oh, that's a car off. That appears to be Sparky Watt, who lost it, did he? Unfortunately, running out. Is it? Tell me it's not turn 7 again. I think it might be. Turning into turn 7. Power down. Oh, and it's just that slippery section between turn 7 and turn 8. And unfortunately for him, he's then trying to make sure that his rejoin is safe and not into the path of another driver. And it didn't quite work out. So Sparky Watt, now with what is becoming a very common accident here for the drivers, powering out of the final corner. Through lap 6 comes Finn, starting lap 7. I know the drivers were targeting 7 or 8 laps for the run down, and there you can see Wosk is right on Finn's heels. Looks like Thump has dropped back significantly from the battle for P3, so I think we have got on our hands a potential battle developing for the top step of the podium as we run through then through turn 3 into 4. You can see Wosk already moving around in the mirrors, and in the daylight conditions here with the bright Spanish sun, that white car looks very large in the mirrors, I can tell you from first-hand experience. So using the AMG power for D'Alessi and trying his utmost here to gauge where he thinks Pat Finn might be struggling with the tyre. He has used more of the front left tyre, so somehow Wosk, running in the slipstream of Finn, has been able to hold on to a little bit more in the way of his grip on that front left, which is somewhat unusual when you're running behind another car. It can be a recipe for scrubbing those tyres. And then you can see again the gap opening out even further between P3 and 4. So back to this battle for the lead. Just thought it would be worth checking that out as we run through then the penultimate corner. Some drivers will presumably will plan to pit on the end of lap 7, but it looks like our 2 leaders have stayed out. The helicopter running pretty low over the track here, and then we can see from the driver's perspective, we can perhaps get an impression then that Finn might be more trimmed out here than Wosk, who only really closes in at the very end of the straight, but throughout the course of the following sections of the track, he seems to be able to gain, not only due to the enhanced tyre wear. Thump has bailed to the pits at the end of lap 7, and he drops down the order now. So there will be a slight differential between our drivers as they run through this one. Certainly my impression from this race was that it was not possible to use the medium tyres to their full effect before running out of fuel, and then being able to refuel and run the softs at the end of the race, which seems to be a bit of a pattern here for the Adrian Newey divisional races so far, with the length and tyre restrictions that we have. Obviously, it looks like the Adrian Newey car's also not quite as compliant over the curbs, and the driver's not really abusing track limits to the same extent that we've seen in the Super Formulas. Here comes Wosk down the inside, perhaps. No, with Pat making a defence to the inside of turn 10. Very easy to action a slipstream with a nice switchback move that Wosk was just demonstrating there. We've seen that before at this particular race meeting for SVR, and then you can see that Finn is hugging the inside line here, doesn't want to give the inside line up, doesn't want to give the option here as they both bail towards the pit lane. That pit wall is very threatening for the drivers, let me tell you, and this is twice on the morning of the practice that I hit that pit wall as I was trying to find the best way into the corners. Now it comes the turn of Revelet, starting on the soft tyres. Will he now pit? He will pit. So it looks like this was the decision for the majority of the races, but Rysbach started on the medium tyres, picks up a half-second penalty. I think that was between the penultimate and final corners. I didn't see anything too wrong with his line going through the final corner, but he gets a half-second penalty, and he will then take the lead of the race ahead of Milo in second place for Brokaga on the medium tyres. These guys maximising their run. Wilson Court moves through and past Pat Finn as well, does he? We'll see Finn coming out of the pits, and they're actually both together blending in and out of each other here as they go through. I remember Pat exclaiming here that the danger at that point is absolutely tremendous, because you just don't know if the game is going to bring you back into a position where a crash is unavoidable. So Wask making the overtake in the pit lane and putting an identical amount of fuel on board. I can't tell the difference between the two drivers. How on earth Wask made that difference is quite beyond me, unless Pat Finn had to hold in the pit lane, which we can't actually see from our perspective. So this is Pat Finn then, as the drivers come to the lap, and that was so close for our former leader Wask, and again for Pat Finn as he ends up being sandwiched between two slower drivers who are on the medium tyres. But wow, that was so close to disaster as Wilson Core is going round the outside. Sparky Watt gets a little bit of breathing room, but that was code brown for both former leaders of this race, of Wask, well, the net leader Wask and the outright leader Finn, before our pit stop protocol, with Riz back in first and Milo in second. Their next task, of course, here is to try and get their way into some clear air. You can see Wask struggling on the mediums at this stage. How much can Finn now take advantage of the slipstream? Let's join him on board. Well, that gap does appear to have opened out quite considerably. Looking from behind, he has no danger from Sparky Watt there in the 5th position at the moment. And running down, you can see I fed back out in P7 between Wilson Core and Brum. And Thump was further back still. Brum, I believe Brum was on the medium tyres. Let's go down to see Brum. Where is he? Here he is. So he is still, well, no, he went onto the medium tyres early, did Brum. And Thump came out on the mediums in front of him, sorry, just behind him and just in front of Revelit. So they are going to cycle through then, and presumably Thump is then going to close in on him. Just about squeaking ahead of Wilson Core was I at this stage. Managed to get by fairly comfortably, and then it was a case of trying to cycle through while Sparky Watt is on the harder tyres. Unbeknown to me, of course, he had damage on that front of the car as well. So Finn staying in touch here. He still had the fastest lap of the race at this point at 1:39.331, and trying to find a weakness in the Wask game at this stage. But that is a difficult task at the best of times. We're back to broad daylight, baking hot, permanent circuit racing after a couple of slightly unusual night races for the Adrian Newey division, and Pat Finn keen to get back to winning ways. And there is a move to the inside from Wask just to stop the slipstream at this stage. I don't think that was a serious worry about being threatened from behind from Pat in the number 16. We've got Sparky Watt there in 5th place, and a couple of corners further back, you'll see myself and Brum has managed to clear Wilson Core now as well. Brum on the main strategy here, the soft to medium strategy, but stopping, I think, a lap, possibly even before Thump. I think it was a lap before Thump, so he'll be on very old tyres by the end of the race. Wilson Core getting past once again. Then Wilson Core on the mediums. Look at that front left. He's really let that one hang out. And this was the problem, I think, with the medium tyres with a heavy fuel load. He then gives himself a 10-lap stint to have to perform on the soft tyres. What else have we got going on? Lucas the Brusque at the back of the grid. You've got Benz just going through turn 1. Rizback leads the race at the moment, running low on fuel, just running low on grip as well. He's managed to preserve a little bit more of the fuel at this stage and the tyre. So clearly a massive difference in tyre wear by driving style and by setup with these great cars. Look at the beautiful Kimi's livery in the sunshine. But another half-second penalty to pay then. Milo's still in 2nd position, but here comes Wask and Finn. Finn right there, in the wheel tracks, and again another movement to the inside from Finn as we come down into turn 1. And just trying to unlock something extra here. Be following Wask, looking at Wask's lines very closely. I know they train together quite often. And then we've got a situation where a very compromised Sparky Watt is now being challenged. So down to the outside into, sorry, the inside into turn 4. A little bit of grass, a little bit of apex. And Sparky Watt not fighting that particularly hard. And on my stream I did actually say thank you Sparky for not making that too difficult. But clearly Sparky Watt having the sense of the wider race parameters, and that he may not be best served in his race holding up another driver and battling. Brum just ahead of Thump. Now Thump is really crowding the back of this Bergstein Transport Service Adrian Newey designed Red Bull Junior car, and Thump keen to get back up, I think, to the top group. So will he go for a dive bomb in towards turn 10, I wonder? Yes, it's not even a dive bomb. That was a clean overtake to the point of getting to the inside, and then there was the tiniest touch between them. Nothing too dramatic, but Brum was offline there, getting dirty tyres. He's obviously wearing through the mediums, barely any here, but he's also running out of fuel. In comes Rizback with 3 litres of fuel to go on the car, needing to add a further 9 laps worth of fuel. Of course, at this point, Milo in the pits as well. So normal service resumed at the front of the grid as the pit stops start to take effect. What kind of track position or time gain or loss would Rizback and Milo have managed to achieve then at this point? In goes the fuel for Milo and for Rizback. Wilson Court will hope to pick up a position here. Soft tyres going on for Rizback, who is now coming out of the pits. Just under half a tank of fuel remaining on the car, but he's got the soft tyres on, and he's going to have to do a fairly lengthy stint of 8 complete laps, I believe, on the soft tyre. Revelet running in P7. We've got Brum having just been passed by Thump, and now Thump is closing in on Sparky Watt, who's going very deep into this race, flashing red of fuel. I'm sure he'll be absolutely relieved to get into the pit lane and get that car repaired as well. But of course that does cost you repair time in the pits, which is annoying, but a reality, unfortunately, of racing. There goes both drivers off into the mud. Thump's done this once before. He's had a practice go at it. This time, no contact at the corner. Sparky, as I said before, not really fighting the positions at this stage, but I'm sure will be keen to draw swords on even tyre wear situations nearer the end of the race. Wask leads Finn from myself and Thump now, as presumably Sparky Watt, he doesn't come into the pits. Crazy guy to stay out with the damage and on those medium tyres. Obviously doesn't fancy his chances here at the soft tyre later on, but Brum is definitely catching now, and they're both on the same strategy. They're both staying out to finish lap 14. So that is a significant amount of time. Brum, almost running into Sparky Watt. I'm guessing if you were like me there, you were reaching for your imaginary co-driver brake pedal. To the inside we go. And yeah, with the additional grip at the corner, Brum has performed an absolute tyre-saving miracle here, I think, at this stage. And completing the manoeuvre very neatly through turn 3 and extending out of turn 4. Running low on fuel, but doing a great job nonetheless. Let's move back through the order then and find our leaders. Wask ahead of Pat Finn, who is still right there with him, not letting Wask relax. And again, that Spanish afternoon sun glinting off our cars that have all been, I think, freshly washed for the occasion. Wask running on then very nicely. But coming up to lap somebody, this could present an opportunity as he closes in on a Bergstein Transport Service car. Could be an opportunity for Wask to get ahead, or for Finn to find his way into a potentially battling position. Going down past, and we've got another driver coming out of the pits then in front of this group. So we're going to have two of those opportunities for the two leaders. Canadian flag on both drivers' helmets, I notice. As Brum pits with 1 litre of fuel left, and Sparky Watt with 2 litres of fuel remaining on the car. They really did take that car as dry as it would go. And here comes Wask then to follow these drivers. Now he's going to be nervous because the cars in front are involved in their own battle. And earlier on things got quite dicey for the two of them. Wask following tightly behind the Bergstein Transport Service car. Bergstein now waving around on the inside on the approach to turn 9. That was very fair from him, releasing the driver. And both cars actually, you know, that is crazy. What's going on here with the driver at the back? This is Wilson Core. Did he accidentally let everybody by? Or is that all a penalty? Let's go back. No, that was a 6-second penalty. Understood. Okay, so that was, yeah, a slightly odd moment there on track without seeing the penalty directly. But Wilson Core then obviously having a lot of accrued track limit penalties to pay for. Finn getting through okay. Let's just check on how that went down, because down into turn 10 we go. I anticipate no major resistance coming. No, he's gone straight down the inside. And the Bergstein driver quite accommodating for that cycle as well. I've managed to follow through, and I think I'm now closing in on Wilson. We've got Thump now most directly behind. I was busy chatting with Hector and our race engineer vicinity, trying to, and I also had team captain Dummy keeping me abreast of information and the gap to the car behind. But I was getting pretty nervous at this point because Thump was closing on me, so I was constantly asking for the gap to the car behind. I knew that the front two here, Wask and Finn, were just far too far in front, and just had a pace difference. Earlier in the morning, I had finished a race 35 seconds behind Pat Finn, so my confidence was through the floor going into this race. And yeah, so that was an interesting situation, and things were going a lot better than I had feared, but the fear was still very much there for me. Revelit is in 5th place, Rizback is in 6th place, and near identical amounts of fuel on both cars here. Yeah, just saw a shadow disappear off the track, but it was just the helicopter again, I think. We've got Biggerwood running in 7th, much better than his near at the back qualifying position, which is obviously great. I wonder if he had a tail to tail during qualifying. Millo in 8th with Brum in 9th, just behind Millo then. And Sparky Watt, having now finally decided to put some new tyres on, has a repaired Coach Dave car, and is in 10th place with Lucas Brusque at the back. It was not at the back, in 11th place on the mediums. Ben's in 12th, and we saw Wilson Core earlier on as well, as we run through the order. So Wask versus Finn continues into lap 16 as we get in towards the final stage of this Adrian Newey race. We look for, well, there is Wask making a defensive shape, or at least trying to stop that slipstream. I'm not quite sure how much it actually changes anything until it's a definitive defence. I'm not sure that just waving across the racetrack actually loses the driver behind any of the slipstream, because the driver behind just follows you, of course. So there may be, you know, the tiniest gap, but I think Finn was so far back at this point that he was going to wasn't going to be picking up a great deal of slipstream as it was. Here is Thump in P4. It's hard to tell though, because of course the start-finish straight crests and then drops down the hill, and so there is a moment where the driver behind, when he might most be in striking distance, when he would then unfortunately drop out of your vision. So you've kind of got to anticipate what what the driver behind is going to do and what their speed is looking like before that stage. Here is Revelit, and he will close in now to Rysbach, because Rysbach's car has a penalty on it, just a half second, but that will bring him very much into range as they head down towards turn 10 if everything goes well through the next 4 corners anyway. Through turn 5 we go. You can go right out onto the red and white curbs with your inside tyre. Very often actually in this Spanish circuit. Lots of our drivers avoiding that big curve on the inside of turn 8. If you watch the S1 drivers, oh, that's Rysbach. There goes Rysbach off the circuit. Unfortunately, just before his penalty was supposed to be paid for. That is absolutely heartbreaking as he tried to maximise his run through. Oh, it's mud on the tyres. It was mud on the tyres, a little touch on the exit. Let's just replay that one more time. My apologies, Rysbach, but just keep an eye on this left rear. And it just got away from him, sadly. So does he avoid the barrier? Well, no, unfortunately not. That would look like a very gentle hit, but he's ended up with damage on the car, and then, not even at full pace, losing the position to Revelit. Biggerwood is just coming through the preceding corner here, car number 26, in the beautiful matte and gloss black and gold Jann Interiors car. Milo is in 8th with Brum in 9th. Actually, they're not too far apart here. Oh, Milo, long on the brake pedal. Certainly struggling with the tyre at this stage. On the soft tyres, he had to switch to those quite early. And Brum goes through very, very smoothly indeed. So Milo struggling, you have to say, at this stage. Sparky Watt will get quicker and quicker, I'm sure, and will be confident that he won't be stuck in P10 until the very end of the race. I'll definitely want to keep my eye on him. We've got Benz in 12th. Well, there goes Rysbach into the pit lane to fix that damage and change off the tyres. Oh, that was Wilson Core with a massive snap coming through the very difficult turn 7, which has caught so many drivers out at this point. I don't think the gap at the lead of the race has ever been quite this big. It looks to be now about 1.8 seconds, I would estimate, between Wusk and Finn. Is this possibly now that well, Finn has just used the tyres that little bit more. Finn has one way of going racing, and it has worked for him through the course of this season so far, and that is pedal to the metal all the time and just work your strategy out based on driving at absolutely at 10/10 in qualifying mode. But it does mean more tyre wear, as you see him just using the approach to turn 1 exit of the well, outside of the circuit to make sure that the car brakes effectively in a straight line. Here comes Thump, closer and closer still to that final podium position. Revelit in 5th. The entire length of the start-finish straight away from 4th place at this stage of the race. Biggerwood's in 6th. So a Jann-Placht 5th, 6th. I think that will represent a good result from where they ended up starting the race. Brum in 7th. And then we've got potentially a battle going on. No, a battle having just happened. Milo and Sparky Watt. Let's see if we can see when that happened. Because Rysbach pitted, of course. No, I'm going too far back. Here it is. Down into turn 5. And a nice, very clean overtake then from Sparky Watt. So fantastic to see him starting to move forward. P8, remember he qualified P5, and I wonder if he thinks he can catch Brum as well. Brum on the soft tyres, so is Sparky Watt. The gap looking like about 3 seconds, with about 3 to go at the end of this one as it's about to finish here. Rysbach out of the pits, obviously pushing hard, trying to get a better than a P10 at this stage. But here he is with another half-second penalty to pay. There's that new sponsor on the side of Lucas de Brusque's car. Just get a closer look at it here. MAR Flower Boutique. So I've not seen many florists on racing cars, but I don't mind it. Looks good, and I do like this new take on the Brokaga look as well. That's some more matte green trim than we've seen on some of the S1 and S2 drivers' cars, which seems to be much more of a metallic green, or at least glossy stickers. Ben's just stretching the patience of race control, who give him a half-second penalty for that run, and there now it looks like Wilson Core then at the back of the grid at the moment, and he's going to have a very difficult final 3 laps to run with that front left tyre. Wask and Finn still able to put a little bit of pressure here on Wask, but Wask, I imagine at this point, feeling quite confident and quite glad, I think, that things are going fairly well to plan at this stage. Qualifying didn't go his way at all, and I know for a fact he didn't get the best out of qualifying, because he would definitely have pushed Pat Finn much closer in the normal scheme of things. Just gap here between myself and the lapped runner, and Thump behind. That is Wilson Core, I believe, at the back, and then that I'm approaching, and then we've got Thump in P4. He'll be calculating that there may be an opportunity coming, so push as hard as possible on the approach then as we arrive at the final proceedings. And I have to say, nothing against Wilson Core whatsoever, but following the events of the penultimate lap in the previous round for myself, I wasn't relishing the prospect of having to lap another car so late into the race. But at least at this point, I wasn't leading the race. We've got Thump in 4th and Revelit in 5th place. Biggerwood in 6th. Brum still in that 7th place. But Sparky Watt is closing in, hungry for a 7th place finish, I think, at this stage. Risback running in on the soft tyre, in having stopped twice, of course. Common sight of a driver with the half a second penalty to pay. Here's Wilson Core. Oh, we just missed the overtake, or the lap here. So as we go down, we are tucked in. We've already moved once to the right, if memory serves me correctly, has Wilson Core. So we go down into the corner, and then we're just a little love tap there, I think, between the lapped Coach Dave car and myself, just enough to raise my heart rate even further, but thankfully surviving that one, and Thump with the next job to do. Here comes Wask then on his final lap. They've both just lapped the Brokaga car, Lucas de Brusque, who was circulating there towards the back of the race, and well, Wask still pushing pretty hard at this point. Still the fastest lap was with Finn, 139.331. They're on older medium tyres now, so I don't expect that even with the fuel deficit they'll be able to improve those lap times. But the drivers at the front of the grid always want to set the fastest lap right at the end when it can't be answered back. Here comes Wask then. 2 corners to go in this Adrian Newey round 7 of the championship, and it looks like it's going to be back-to-back victories for the Canadian Wask. The Delesi driver takes the checkered flag and wins in Spain ahead of Pat Finn, who keeps the podium streak alive at least in 2nd position. We've got a driver just finishing up and spinning to the finish. We do frown upon that, I have to say, when drivers are watching this back. Please don't do that at the end, because it can cause yellow flags for the following pack. 2nd Mega driver, good points for the team, 2nd and 3rd positions, and Thump kept the pressure on throughout and finished home where he started, in 4th place. So not a bad day at all for Delesi, nor for Mega. And the rivalry at the head of that championship absolutely continuing. Here goes Revelit then. Was completely peerless in this league in Daytona. The next 2 races, the form has dropped a little for Revelit. He'll be very keen to get back on it. Revelit, though, in 5th place, representing a great result. And Biggerwood, I'm sure, pretty happy with this result as well. Weaving to the finish. Through comes Brum as well. Great result for Brum and for Sparky White in 7th and 8th. Sparky didn't quite get Brum in the end. And here comes Rizback to come through as well. Another driver who has had better races, but P9 is still points for Kimmy's. Millo will come home under the checker in 10th. Lucas de Brusque came home 11th. Benz in 12th and Wilson Core in 13th. Those 3 cars a lap down on the proceedings. Let me just go into our fantastic website. If you haven't visited it before, go to info.svrracing.com. And also, while I do this, have a look at our merch store here with the link on screen. You can trust this QR code because that was thanks to Tequila who made that. I'm just going to check in at this point to make sure I haven't missed any results from the race here. And see if anything was adjusted. It's probably something that I can do thanks to calling the race a little bit late. Let's go over to that and see if we had any steward inquiries. We have one for Yabo, who gets a 3-position setback. So I think that means a grid penalty for next race, and that was for impeding Pat Finn. And Wilson Court then, who for avoidable contact, car rear-ended and pushed off the track. Wilson Court got a 10-second penalty at the end of the race and an additional 3 penalty points, unfortunately for him. So he picked that up from the stewards post-race. I just need to check in on Yabo because I can never remember. That is Replin, who drives for car number 83. So I think am I reading out the wrong race here? I don't think I am. No, that was the Catalonia results. Okay, so that's what happened. Yabo, 3-place grid penalty. Wilson Core, 10 seconds and 3 points on his penalty point license. Well, that was the race from Catalonia, and the third and final race of the weekend for the Formula cars. But next weekend we will be back here for the GT racing, G1 at 18:30 UK time, or maybe 5 minutes late sometimes, and then S2 on the following Thursday at 7 PM UK. But from us here at SVR, from me, Webbo, thanks so much for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.